Guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel or simply not yet subscribed, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button. Today, what we're diving into is something that I feel like most people have heard of, but maybe haven't been able to dive into it as much. And if you've ever seen the show surrounding this, then you might know about some of the things that I'm going to mention, but I'm curious if you know about all of them. So every year, 500 to 2,000 people go missing in Alaska, and these people are never seen again. There's hundreds of rescue missions that are conducted by authorities, and more often than not, they come back empty-handed, with absolutely no trace of evidence being found. The reasons for these disappearances are spread among a decent amount of different theories, and that is what we're diving into today. Alaska is bordered by 33,000 miles of coastline. It contains more than 3 million lakes, untamed wildlife, and is just simply consumed by winters that cover the entire state in a thick blanket of snow and ice. Interest in the Alaskan Triangle began in 1972 when a small private craft that was carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs just vanished somewhere between Juneau and Anchorage. And what followed was one of the nation's largest ever search and rescue missions. For over a month, 50 civilian planes and 40 military aircraft searched a grid of 32,000 square miles, and they didn't find a single trace of the aircraft. The borders of the Alaskan Triangle connect Anchorage and Juneau. In the south to, gonna butcher this name, Utikavik, which used to be named as Barrow, which would have been a much easier name to pronounce. But it connects that along the north coast. And around the perimeter of the triangle, you will find boreal forests, craggy mountain peaks, alpine lakes, and large amounts of simply just wilderness. Most of Alaska is uninhabited by humans. More than 16,000 people have disappeared just within the triangle since 1988. And the rate per 1,000 people is more than twice the national missing persons average. And the rate of people to never be found is even higher. And even crazier, there are more disappearances that take place just in the Alaskan Triangle than anywhere else in the state. So what's happening there? Is it really just simply the harsh wilderness, or is there something more? We're going to talk about the first theory that we have, and that is vortexes. Now, energy vortexes are thought to be swirling centers of energy, concentrated in specific places where the energy crackles most intensely. The energy radiates in a spiraling cone shape clockwise or counterclockwise, which creates either positive or negative effects. They are thought to affect humans in a physical, mental, and emotional way. A positive vortex will spiral upwards and in a clockwise motion, which creates an enhancing flow of energy. This type of vortex is supposed to benefit healing, meditation, creativity, and self-exploration. And people will actively search for these types of vortexes to feel inspired, recharged, or uplifted. Some places where these specific types of vortexes are said to exist are the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, the Sidonia Desert, and sacred temples and cathedrals that are found all over the world. On the other hand, we have negative vortexes. They spiral downwards in a counterclockwise motion, which creates a draining or depleting energy and it just kind of wipes out any positive energy that's in the area. As humans, it's believed to cause health problems, including depression, nightmares, disorientation, confusion, and hallucinations. Electronic readings in Alaska have found large concentrations of magnetic anomalies, some that actually have disrupted compasses to the point that they were as much as 30 degrees off. Now, some search and rescue workers have also reported having audio hallucinations, disorientation, and lightheadedness, which all fall in line with what's supposed to happen with a negative vortex. Now, on to our next theory, which is aliens. Now, I only chose a couple of accounts about aliens for this video, but there's so much more, you guys. So if you have a spare moment after this video, I highly suggest for you to take a look into this if you want to know more with alien and the Alaskan Triangle, because it's quite interesting. In 1986, a Japanese plane was flying from Iceland to Anchorage when it came across the three UFOs. Three UFOs followed the airliner for around 400 miles through the Alaskan Triangle. One of the aircrafts was said to be twice the size of the airliner. The crew reported seeing flashing lights following their plane, and air traffic controllers also saw something unidentifiable on their radar that was reported as close as 5 miles from the plane. This ship was seen on radar, but it didn't register as anything man-made. The pilot said that at one point, the two smaller ships appeared directly in front of the plane, pretty close to it. He described the UFOs as two small ships and a mothership, saying they were disappearing and reappearing quickly, moving fast and stopping suddenly, which is impossible for a normal airliner to do. In order to escape the UFOs, the pilot received permission from the ground crew to fly lower than they were supposed to and made several turns to try to lose the crafts, but nothing they did could get rid of them. After around 32 minutes, the UFOs just poof, disappeared. Now, in the 1950s, there was a military aircraft that was carrying an 8-man crew with 36 passengers. The plane lost contact with the ground and was never heard from again. There's 2 separate reports of UFO activity in the area around the same time that this plane went missing, around the same location. One was a week earlier and the other was just 2 days after the plane went missing. The Army ended up conducting the largest military search and rescue mission at that time, and they found nothing. To this day, it's known as one of the largest groups of military personnel to go missing. Since 1998, there have been over 560 reports of UFOs in Alaska, with the main location being in the Alaskan Triangle. In 1997, Jim Schnabel wrote his book named Remote Viewers, and he told a story about the U.S. intelligence community's involvement in psychic spying, which largely began in the early to mid-1970s. Schnabel had claimed that Alaska's Mount Haze housed one of the aliens' largest bases. According to Pat Price, the aliens that lived deep inside Mount Haze were very human-looking. The only difference was their heart, their lungs, their blood, and their eyes. He added that the aliens used thought transfer for motor control of us, and that the site has also been responsible for strange activity and malfunction of US and Soviet space objects. Now, in the late 1980s, the Stargate project was in full swing. Declassified files showed that the US government actually had been using remote viewing for over a decade to be able to see locations physically from a distance. While going through the CIA archives, a YouTube channel by the name of It's Redacted found something to make them kind of do a double take. they possibly discovered 3 extraterrestrial bases. One is reported in Alaska, beneath Mount Haze, due to its remoteness and its accessibility. Haze is almost never climbed, despite being the highest mountain in the east range of the state. It is also at the epicenter of the Alaskan Triangle, which is a hotspot for reports of mysterious lights, missing hikers, and strange unknown beings. The U.S. military actually took a great deal of interest in tales of UFO activity in Alaska, and formally classified FBI files showed a startling number of UFO encounters in Alaska between 1947 and 1950, so only 3 years. It was in August of 1947 that a highly impressive account of a UFO incident that involved 2 military members was supplied to the FBI at Anchorage. The report stated, quote, "This is to advise that 2 Army officers reported to the office of the Director of Intelligence Headquarters Alaskan Department at Fort Richardson, Alaska, that they had witnessed an object passing through the air at a tremendous rate of speed, which could not be judged as to miles per hour." According to the official report, the UFO was initially sighted by only one of the 2 officers, but he soon alerted the other officer to what he was seeing. The object appeared to be shaped like a sphere and did not give the impression of being saucer-like. The first officer stated that it would be impossible to give minor details of the object, but that it appeared to be around 2 to 3 feet in diameter and left no vapor trail in the sky. On his first attempt to gauge the altitude of the object from a comparison with cloud formations in the area, he determined that the sphere was moving at a height of more than 10,000 feet, and at such a height, to still be visible meant that it's actually quite large. So when questioned, the other officer gave a very similar account. The only difference was that he thought the object was around 10 feet in diameter, comparing it to half the size of a full moon on an ordinary night. The second officer thought that the UFO was closer to 3,000 to 4,000 feet in height instead of 10,000. Another thing that was noted was that the object was definitely traveling against the wind. Shortly after, the FBI office at Anchorage reported to the Bureau Director J. Edgar Hoover that, quote, "We have been able to locate a flyer who observed..." You want to sit with mommy? It's okay. That observed the flying object near Bethel. Put it on your head. Was on a July day when the sky was completely clear of clouds, and it being during the early part. It is daylight the entire night. The time of his sighting of the flying object was about 10 p.m. and the sun had just dropped beyond the horizon. The flying weather was extremely good and he was coming into the Bethel airport with a DC-3. On approaching the airport, the pilot was amazed to see to his left an unidentified craft the size of a C-54 without any fuselage. Would be reported during this time as well. Next theory, Bigfoot. Now, numerous sightings of Bigfoot have been reported probably everywhere, but they've also been reported in this state. Some reports include evidence of nesting sites, a possible Bigfoot skeleton, and unidentified hair samples. Some witnesses also even report Bigfoot swimming. And there have even been villages who have completely relocated because of Bigfoot. So entire villages moving because of Bigfoot. In 1940, near the town of Kaluka, a group of women were buried when they came across a large man-like creature with long hair running down his back. They later went on to capture this creature and cage it and feed it. It later died, and the story was documented in a letter from the cage keeper. So from one of the women who performed this, I guess. In 1946, about 50 miles southwest of Ketchikan, a man was out fishing and reported seeing an 8-foot tall creature that was around 400 pounds and walked on 2 feet like an ape. There was also a young boy that reported a similar sighting in the area in 1960. In Port Chatham, also known as Portlock, which is a small village on the Kenai Peninsula, they saw a lot of Bigfoot. So much that the entire population fled out of fear. For a period of time during the 1960s, torn up bodies were washing up on the shore of the small village, which would be quite terrifying. And this was making people believe that it had to be evil Sasquatch spirits that resided in the woods nearby. Multiple Bigfoot sightings occurred in the area of Wrangell in the early 1900s. One sighting included a man that was also berry picking. Apparently, if you want to see Bigfoot, a good thing to do is to go berry picking. And the man was startled by the sounds of a massive man-like creature having a conversation nearby. So I wonder what it sounded like, where he was like, yes, that's Bigfoot. Another story in this area was that Bigfoot actually ended up carrying a 3-year-old back to her home after she had wandered off into the woods without anyone seeing her. Which, that's incredible. Like, if Bigfoot actually went and brought this little girl back, because you do hear a lot of like scary things about Bigfoot, and like this is something that's obviously doesn't fit demographic. The next theory we have is the Tlingit shape-shifting demon. This theory is about the evil spirits who are associated with the native Tlingit people who live in the area. These people are said to have originated as far back as 11,000 years ago. They've been around quite a while. Their name actually means people of the tide. These people believe that there is a shape-shifting demon named Kushtaka, who is a cross between a man and an otter. And it's said that he lures people to their doom. So it doesn't sound like something you want to meet. Next, we have the theory of the gnome serial killer. Around 2005, people began to notice that a large percentage of residents or tourists that would go missing in Alaska happened to disappear from the city of Nome. In fact, the numbers were so worrying that there became rumors that there was a serial killer in Nome. And the rumors progressed to the point where the FBI actually came in and did their own investigation. But they never caught anyone. Instead, the FBI concluded that it was actually Nome's fault. Alaska has one of the highest alcohol-free zones in America. However, Nome doesn't fall on that list. So the FBI figured that people would get drunk, they would wander off into the woods to pee or whatever, and they'd get attacked by an animal, they'd get lost, something along those lines, and simply it's just, I don't know if you want to say casualties is so harsh, but something that wasn't because of a specific being almost, and those people were just never heard from again. And the last theory is the Black Pyramid. Now this one is quite interesting. There's said to be a black pyramid that is twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it's buried deep beneath Alaska, around the Mount McKay area. The legend came to be in 1992. So that year, on Anchorage's Channel 13, hi buddy, 3 scientists had announced that they had accidentally discovered an unexplained structure below the ground, in which they had located by using seismic recording equipment. According to Douglas A. Muchler, geologists had used the detonation to undertake a seismographic study of the Earth's crust, only to find that a pyramid structure larger than the Cheops was underground somewhere west of Mount McKinley. Muchler recalls that the local NBC affiliate ran a story announcing the structure's discovery about 6 months after the detonation. But when Musler attempted to follow up with the station to get a copy of the story, they denied that the story was ever ran, that there was no copy of it. Musler then called relatives to track down copies of the stories that had run on the other stations, but none had. The story was only ran on Anchorage's Channel 13. Since the finding, more and more retired military men have come forward refusing to speak to anyone but famed UFOologist Linda Moulton Howe, telling her the secret story of some guarded black pyramid. In 2012, Moulton Howe broadcasted a pre-recorded interview with Doug Mulcher, a retired U.S. Army counterintelligence warrant officer, who provided many of the initial facts about the pyramid and first alleged the site's current connection with the U.S. military. Black Pyramid is reported to be an architectural construction built by an ancient civilization with the power to generate enough electricity to supply not only all of Alaska, but a lot of Canada as well. So it's no secret that the government doesn't tell us everything. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were working with aliens. And it definitely wouldn't surprise me if the beings were already here. So what theory do you think is causing the disappearances? I'm sure, that there are plenty of disappearances because of the terrain and the fact that it's so unpopulated. But also because it's so unpopulated, that means that there's things that we might not have proven to exist, like concrete proven to exist, that might be living there. And it's also the perfect spot for hidden bases because it's unpopulated and not as many people go there. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. Until next time, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for me, and hit it for Sebastian. And we love you guys. Can you blow a kiss? Can you blow a kiss? Bye.